So, I'm just home from seeing the Desolation of Smaug. Not a bad film. I mean, to be fair, all the Lord of the Rings franchise films, and this is the Hobbit series, of course, they're all basically the same. More or less, similar type of format. I mean, look, they're great storytelling in a way. It's all very fantastical, and you know, I think the Hobbit films are a little bit more childish than the Lord of the Rings ones. I think they're supposed to be, but anyway. Not that this is a review of that film or anything, but what I'll say is I have a little bit of a headache. And this is the first time that I've gone to see a 3D film and gotten a headache afterwards. And it's probably because it's just a long film. Now, I've made a video before ranting about how much I hate 3D and why I think it's just terrible. Not to go over old ground here, but it really is just an excuse to add a couple of extra quid onto the ticket price for the cinema. And what irritates me, though, about 3D in particular is that it really doesn't add anything of value to the film whatsoever. People were enjoying films in, you know, 2D for a very long time, and 3D is nothing new. It's been around since, you know, the 50s, and then it came back in the 80s, and they're trying to get it going now. And with all the marketing money they're throwing at it, and now that they have 3D televisions, it seems to be fooling people into thinking that it's worth it. I mean, people go, oh no, you don't understand. I saw Gravity in 3D and it was really amazing, and I got my 3D television, it's great. And really, it's not. And from a cinematography point of view, it's even terrible, which is the ironic thing. Because what I hate about 3D, and you notice this immediately when you put on the glasses, and by the end of the film, you don't even notice the 3D. It's, you know, but you notice you have a headache. It's just that it's a very long film. But what you notice when you first put on the glasses and the 3D effect is noticeable is that the characters in the foreground that you're looking at are obviously there in focus, but the background is in focus as well, which is really annoying. I mean, the foreground and the very far background. And what that does is, you know, filmmakers now might be taking advantage of this because it's a novelty, thinking this is quite unique, but the truth is it ruins the film because it gives you no real depth of field. Whereas in 2D, the background will be blurred. And then you get this sense of scope, this sense of scale, this sense of distance. And what I really hate about it is it's kind of this weird situation where you can film a scene with some characters in a pub. I think the start of the film takes place in a pub, and spoilers, sorry. Anyway, that's all I'll say. But you know, you immediately see that the characters are like they're 2D, which is ironic. The characters look like they've been CGI'd into a scene. The characters always look like they've been digitally inserted onto the background. So you can have somebody in a practical location, and when they're being filmed, obviously the background is not that far away from them, but it looks like they've been shot up against the green screen, if you know what I mean. Because they look 2D against the background. And the background's in focus, which just looks kind of silly. And there's very rarely in a 3D film now will you see the background blurred, which is what you get in 2D, and it just looks so much more natural. I just don't see how, in any way, 3D adds anything to the film. And I know that there's different types of 3D, and then there's, you know, obviously some films make use of it a little bit more in terms of things coming out at you at the screen, but that doesn't always happen very often, and usually it's just done to kind of create a kind of a double focus between the foreground and the background, like I say, and I don't see that doing very much of anything to help the film. So again, it just seems like when you pull it right back, this is just a con to get a couple of extra quid on the ticket price, to make it more expensive, to drive up the prices of 3D everything, 3D downloads, 3D DVDs. Not that people are buying as many DVDs now, but the point is that whatever way you're going to purchase it, it'll allow them to just increase the price, and it's all just a money-making scam, really, at the end of the day. I mean, if they can re-release Titanic, but this time in 3D, and all that, you know, all that work that they did to try and transcode it up to 3D, and then lash it out for the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, which, to be honest, it's like everything else. It's kind of, again, when you really think about it, it's a bit of a disgusting way of making money. But yeah, I mean, that's cinema at the moment. So that was my rant about 3D. But again, if you want to see more of me ranting a little bit more coherently about this subject, check out the link below. Actually, I'll include an annotation here ish, so that you can check out that film where I talk a little bit more about it. But 3D, what do you think? And also, what did you think of The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug? I didn't think it was bad. You can really see where Peter Jackson is trying to stretch the films from 2 to 3. In that they were originally supposed to be 2 films, now they're 3. So the start of them tends to be very, very slow. I find that the dialogue in these Lord of the Rings films very cliche. You know, it's all destiny and heroics, and it's all, you know, it's evil and darkness is coming, and you're like, wow, I really haven't heard this type of dialogue before in any kind of film or television series. You know, and it's kind of the same types of little nuances and set pieces and stereotypical, you know, arch villains and characters, and again, it's escapism. But see, I don't really like that either so much, because I do want it to have a little bit more meaning, and I do want the films to actually say something about something, anything. Well, I find that the Lord of the Rings films are a little bit self-entitled. They're a little bit over preachy, and they're kind of big films, beautifully, epically produced. I mean, to an incredibly high standard. Great commitment by the actors, the director, the professionalism of the production is incredible, and the effects and everything, and the set pieces and the action, and you know, it's all very, very well done. But it's kind of like they are the films that kind of marketing wise, they beat themselves on the chest quite loudly, and they kind of shout about it, and they kind of say, these are the films that you have to go and see, and then you go to see it and you go, you know, it's okay. And I hate that. I hate, you know, the popular film that you have to see, because it's kind of like all the other sheep go and see it, and everybody thinks it's good, and that's it. And then we go to work the following day and we say, oh, I went to see went to the cinema last night. What did you say? I saw Desolation of Smaug. Oh, was it good? Yeah, it was brilliant. Really? And then that's the end of the conversation. Was it? Yeah. And then if you analyze it below that, you know, if you analyze it beyond that superficial level, it's like, well, actually, I could nitpick quite a bit here, and it wasn't really about anything, and it was all kind of a blur of action and effects, and I can't actually remember a good portion of the film because it was all just kind of designed to bamboozle me into submission. Not in the same way that Star Trek Into Darkness did, but you know, it's, I mean, they try to have a little bit of fun with it. There's not much humor in this film, in The Desolation of Smaug, not really. Not as much as the first one, but at least if a film has a little bit of humor, a little bit of self-deprecation and a sense of irony about it, that can, you know, allow me to overlook its faults and allow me to overlook its overhypedness and its grandiose behavior. But they are what they are, really. You know, they're the big summer blockbusters, albeit in, you know, winter at Christmas, but that's kind of what they are, and it's just a big marketing machine, and well, we're consumers and we consume it, and then we don't really analyze it, because if we do that, we might actually revolt against the system and go, that was a crap film, let's watch indie films from now on. No. But anyway, I think it's, films to me, like reading, it's important to keep it varied. So if you read one type of book now, you should read another type of book after that, and keep changing. But that's what they say. Anyway, I am going to try and get some sleep. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching this late night rant, and I'm going to head to bed, and I shall see you in the next video. And if you can give me that thumbs up, it's much appreciated. See ya. Bye bye.